For the last 3 years, between recording segments of the D6 generation, Russ, Craig, and Raef have had various conversations that have spanned the interests of gamerdom worldwide. This is one of those conversations.
D6G, The Lost Chapters.
Hello and welcome to the Lost Chapters Book 10.
Wow.
I get a chai.
10. When is a game too real? That's right. Now,
Very
here we are in Dunkin' Donuts again, our favorite place to talk about this. And you know what tomorrow is, gentlemen?
What
is
you know?
tomorrow? Oh, tomorrow is Free Donut Day.
Free Donut Day!
We should have done this tomorrow.
So by the time you hear this, it'll be too late.
That's right.
But
we will
hopefully,
have missed Free Donut Day at Dunkin' Donuts around the world.
Or if you have access to the TARDIS, just go in there and set it to 3 days ago or so, and you can get yourself a free donut. Just walk into Dunkin' Donuts, say, I want my free donut, and they'll hook you up.
There you go.
So what kind of donut are you going to get, Raef?
chocolate glazed, always.
Chocolate glaze. Craig, what's your favorite donut?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. I like
Chocolate-covered chocolate glazed, baby.
I kind of like the blueberry cake.
All right, really?
That's a waste of a donut. That's not even
that really is.
Well, you know what it is? Okay,
that's like a blueberry muffin in the wrong shape.
Well, here's the thing. So I was a donut baker for a while. And
yes, I forgot about that.
I remember.
And so the blueberry cake donut is a little different tasting donut. So when you've had and worked around donuts so long, you want a different. For example, I was also a Domino's pizza guy for a while. And pizza guy's favorite pizza usually is the Hawaiian because it just tastes so different because you get so tired of like the pepperoni pizza, you know.
That's it.
Yeah, that's a good point, dude.
A little inside knowledge there, little inside baseball there for the.
But if you have never been a donut
Cooking
maker,
industry.
time
Yes.
to make the donuts.
Right.
Then I think that the blueberry is a waste.
Right. I like the blueberry. Anyway, moving right along. So
You mean for this lost chapter, we're going to talk about donuts?
Right? No, no, we're not. Although that might be a good topic. What to think about that?
I think we should
games with donuts.
Forget this reality thing.
Right? How about ring toss with donuts? We can come up with a whole new game. So actually, no. Today's topic came from a listener. See, this is audience participation again here, folks.
That's
right.
right.
Van Norton sent us a question, and he said it was a very good question actually because on the main show,
it came across as a little peevish to me.
No,
to be
I
honest.
thought it was good because on the main show, both Craig and I have said that we like the Flames of War rules, we like the models, but neither of us can really enjoy playing the game too much because we sort of see that it's real and we sympathize and empathize, and I can't really role play being Germans, but then we like games like Merchants and Marauders, and so Van Norton was like, well, how can you play pirates who are historically like raping and pillaging people, and yet you can't play Flames of War? And so I guess it sort of turned into this. We talked about it a little bit, and so let's talk about when is a game concept or theme too real for us to enjoy.
And he wasn't peevish. Van Norton was great.
Right.
He was very respectful.
So I thought might be kind of fun is, can we identify our gaming bugaboos? So what are the themes in games that we kind of like, if we see a game is themed a certain way, we kind of immediately like, check please. Not really interested in that one.
Right.
Here's mine. I'll start with mine. You guys can jump in.
Do yours first.
When you think you're ready. So for video games, it's the modern shooter. I can't do Call of Duty. I can't do any of the, even though they're super hot and everybody loves them, the modern shooter I just don't like. And again, I think it's because it's too real for me. And for miniature games, it's any 20th century or near future miniature war games. So anything that's like sort of modern combat or anything in this last 100 years, I don't really like. I'm okay with Civil War. I'm okay with Napoleonics. I'm okay with like ancient Greeks versus Romans or whatever. That's all fine. But when it gets to the more modern stuff, and I think it's just because, here's the other thing that's kind of weird too. World War II.
Yeah.
Infantry battles, don't like it. Air battles, sea battles, I'm okay with. Isn't that weird?
That's weird.
That is kind of weird.
I was going to say I share your diffidence towards more recent conflicts. Like I wouldn't want to do Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan. I wouldn't want to do any of the stuff that's gone on in Africa recently. Although if you were going to do the Falkland Islands naval game, well, first of all, that'd be kind of one-sided. But I don't. Well,
See, the
I
ships
think
don't bother you either.
if you look at naval combat,
See,
the scale you're looking at there isn't a lot of it's not an intimate setting.
What
it's
I
not
was
an
thinking
intimate
it is.
narrative.
Mhm.
It's a narrative at a distance. So to me, that gives you one more layer of remove that makes it okay. That makes it less intense or or intimate. Which is maybe why the air combat, where all the people are inside airplanes and you don't see them crashing, you just remove the model, or the boats when they're so tiny you wouldn't even see the people. Whereas even at 15 millimeter, World War II, you've got the guys on the stands and you're looking at model's eye view over their shoulder, and I think that might be more intimate.
Yeah, I think that's it. Because for some reason, the airplanes, what's the air combat game everybody likes that you like too? What's the one?
Wings of War.
Wings of War. Good example. That's World War II air combat. I could play that all day. That doesn't bother me in the least. But again, you get me with miniatures, like infantry. And I think you're right. I think it's because I'm visualizing Saving Private Ryan.
Yes.
And I think
another thing is that the real atrocities that occur in war don't usually happen ship on ship or plane on plane.
Right. I mean, there is some bad things that happen there, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think Craig nailed it. And I don't have this issue, but I think that what you guys just said, when you're looking over the shoulder of those 15 millimeter paratroopers, you can picture the mine going off, blowing his legs apart, because there's so many movies in cinema. We always talk about miniature games as cinema,
right?
And you have to think really deep that when you guys are playing dystopian wars and you see, let's pretend it was modern, and you see, you pretend the ship gets sunk. What's the first? I shouldn't say speak for you guys. The first thing I think of is, there's a big hole in the bow, and this big metal thing kind of sinks to the bottom, like in your bathtub with toys.
Right.
You have to think to go, wait a minute, there were men in there. They probably drowned in the hatches. It's not as intimate.
But here's the weird thing, okay? Like, I've seen the movie 300 too, where people getting their arms cut off and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I can play a miniature war game with like historically accurate Romans, fighting historically accurate Celts or something. And that doesn't bother me.
But
that breaks the intimate rule. So then, why does that happen?
Because I think it doesn't break the intimacy rule, because what you've got there is distance of time.
Yeah,
time.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's so remote in time that it's not something that you can easily identify with.
Yeah. I think
we've all seen footage on TV. We've all talked to people that we know, that we care about, that have carried guns in combat now. That's intimate, that's immediate, but none of us know anybody who strapped on some armor and took their gladius into the arena or what have you.
Right. Mm-hmm. I think it's far enough back that it feels pretend, even though we know mentally we know it's real. We just feel like it's pretend.
Now,
mentally we know it was real, but it was real so long ago. Right. I think that it gives you that. I think I struck on something. I think it's all a question of emotional distance. So is it
I think you're right.
In your face, it. You can relate to it, or is it remote? Either remote in reality, it's fantasy or it's sci-fi, or it's remote in time period. It's so far away that it's something that intellectually was horrible, but you've got that cushion of time between you.
I agree.
Now,
or intimate, or distance of scale. It's so small that the horrors of war are distant because of that scale.
Well, and here's a weird thing following up on Craig. It's almost like when did we as kids learn about the Romans? It's kind of like, grade school. And I remember learning about mythology at the same time. And it's almost like, wait, Romans? Oh, yeah, that really happened. But it kind of blends in my historical memory for me as almost myth because it's so far removed in time.
Well, let me ask you this, Raef. So I think Craig makes a great point as to why why he and I can play, because I think, Craig, you and I are similar that way, right?
Yeah, I think we are.
But so, Raef, how come, because in your last Hollywood Minute, you were talking about your last Flames of War game and how your guys were getting stuck on the beach and
yes,
boats were colliding and guys were getting killed. And in my head, I'm thinking, I'm seeing Saving Private Ryan again and listening to people tell stories on World War II documentaries. And I'm thinking, geez, that's too real. But why or how do you deal with that? Or do you deal with that? Or what's in your head when you play that?
I have moments where I will feel guilty that real men and women have lost their lives, and here I am enjoying a miniature game about it. But they're only moments. And the way I am able to do it, and it's not rationalization, this is how I feel to my core, is it happened. It's happened regardless if I play the miniature game or not. And in a weird way, it is my version of Memorial Day. So I don't need a Memorial Day to remember our servicemen and women. I'm able to remember them and learn about the boats that they landed and the atrocities that they suffered. And in some weird way, I feel that I'm actually paying homage by remembering and by not veiling my eyes to what really occurred. So that's how I say it. I suppose some people could say that's a rationalization. It doesn't feel like a rationalization because rationalizations feel to me that I'm trying to trick myself. So
Does it feel at all sanctimonious?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
No, I get what you're saying there, Raef. I think it makes some sense, and I think I could enjoy playing the American side for the same reason. But do you think you could play the Germans in Flames of War?
I do, because I kind of remember being taught in school that not every German was a horrible Nazi that ran a concentration camp. This is more of a rationalization. Okay,
Right.
Playing the Germans for me, would be, I'd be like, well, okay, I guess I'm remembering the enemy. That doesn't feel so good. And, I guess I'm remembering a regular German trooper. That's more of a rationalization. Yeah. Yeah. But no one really plays Auschwitz. So.
No, true. But
Okay. Can we quote you on that?
Okay.
That's not true. Remember that train game?
Yeah, good point. We won't go back
That
to
shocker train game that didn't tell you what it was all about till the
until you
end.
realize you were playing Auschwitz. Yeah, playing.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Well, I think
brutal.
I think there's just an issue of thing. Well, let me ask you this, Rafe: could you play a modern military simulator like Iraq or Iran or anything?
Yep. Doesn't bother me. I can play
Or
Modern
but
Warfare, Rainbow
Afghanistan.
Six.
Yeah.
The modernness of it, the closeness of time doesn't affect me.
So you don't have the intimacy issue, right? Is basically what you're saying.
Yes, that's right. I don't have the issue because it's already happened regardless if I play the game or not.
Right.
So I guess what I try to do is treat it with a little bit of reverence, if that makes any kind of sense.
Could you
Or
play
seriousness. I think maybe
seriousness? There you go.
Could you play either side in both cases?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. That's good. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there's right or wrong. It's just interesting to
I
think about that.
I don't think there's any wrong.
Right.
Well, I think Flames of War does a good, and then we'll probably move on, but I think Flames of War does a good job of, it doesn't focus on Hitler, and it doesn't, so they've done a good job of...
Well, it focuses on the combat. It's a war game.
Yeah,
right?
and it focuses on sort of the pride that the Germans might have had in their, 88s. You know what I'm saying? So they do a good job of hiding the... you're not really playing so Hitler can win. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, they've removed that sort of political element.
Yes.
Right.
Interestingly enough, they haven't, though, for the Russians, right? They still have commissars and stuff.
Well,
They do.
You have to, because that's how the army was organized. I mean, they're trying to be historically accurate, right? So.
Oh, no, I think they do a great job. I completely disagree with future, with historical gamers that take exception to Flames of War. I think it's a great way to get into historical gaming.
In fact, that's one of the reasons the German army I did play for a while in Flames of War was commanded by Rommel, who later tried to assassinate Hitler. He was involved with the assassination plot on Hitler. So there was some sort of, but again, that was all rationalization because in the end, you're still fighting for the wrong side for the wrong reasons. But so anyway, but it's just a pretend. And I think part of this comes to another of my bugaboos. And well, before I go on though, Craig, are your bugaboos the same as mine? Because it sounds like Rafe, you feel the issues I'm talking about, but you also feel like it's okay. You mentally work around them or deal with them. Craig, are your bugaboos sort of the same as mine, or do you have any different bugaboos I haven't mentioned?
No, I think my bugaboos are pretty much the same as yours. I don't want to be fighting in something that's actually occurring right now. For me, I think it's 100% that intimacy level that we were talking about, where if it's something I can see on the news, gaming it feels almost like you're reveling in very real and immediate tragedy. Even if on the news you're looking at it and you're identifying good guy, bad guy, I still think that for me, for some reason, it just doesn't translate into something that I want to game out.
Do you feel that it cheapens what's happening to the real soldiers?
That's a tough question, Rafe. That's a good question, and it's tough. And I'm not sure. My gut reaction is yes, but I think I can, with just a couple tweaks, rationalize my way around that and say it's not. I mean, I can argue the point that it's not cheapening what's happening. That it's just like you said, it's happening whether I'm gaming it or not. It's more of an issue of it's not fun for me. I need that distance so that I can fit in the drama that I like to inject in my games.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The story, the narrative that I see when I'm gaming, that I put into my battle reports that you can see at my blog.
So, and I think that part of that, and I want to talk more about role playing, which is a different bugaboo area. But I think part of what, and I don't know, Raef, if you do this as much as Craig and I do, but when Craig and I think, play our games, there's a story going on to the point where we're role playing ourselves as the commander.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think I have trouble. Another one of my bugaboos is I really can't play in an RPG where I'm evil. And in some conflicts, whether you call me brainwashed or not, I believe certain sides are evil and certain sides are good historically. And so I think when I'm role playing that role, I have a problem with it. But even RPGs, even if it's a pretend universe like D&D, I can't. If it's a serious RPG, if we're not just goofing around like Paranoia or something, if it's a serious RPG and I'm trying to role play someone as evil, I don't like doing it. I can't enjoy myself.
Interesting.
And
Well,
I'm
I
not
think
sure why
that's
that
the
is.
ultimate level of intimacy, isn't it? Because you're putting your brain right into that character.
Right. I think so. And I think that's what my problem. And I think that's what gets me in trouble. Because if I divorce myself from being the general in Flames of War and just said, this is chess, this is a tactical challenge for me as a gamer.
Right.
I think I could enjoy it. If I totally, but when you have a miniature game and you spend so much time painting and collecting, I identify with my models. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think so. That's what happens. I start to identify with my models, and I think that's where the part that becomes challenging for me when I'm dealing with the historical side that I view as in a negative light. Where if I'm dealing with something that's obviously pretend, like orcs, for some reason I can say, well, that's an orc, which is interesting because here I am saying I can't roleplay something evil, but I want to talk more about that in a bit. But
that's also pretend. It's fantasy.
Well, but so is our role-playing someone evil, right?
Yeah,
So,
but
Well, I think if you look at it from the intimacy perspective, right, there's a different level of inherent intimacy in role playing versus miniature gaming.
yes.
So it makes sense to me that you can play evil in a fantasy miniature gaming setting because the intimacy level is lower, but you can't play evil in a role playing game because the inherent intimacy level is higher. Does that make sense?
And I would also argue that orcs are not evil. They're more reactive to they're animalistic.
That's fair. I mean, maybe so.
As a tiger that eats an antelope, that's not evil.
Right. Well, let's ask you this. So if you look at Raef, can you play? I mean, I think we talked about this before the show. Do you enjoy playing evil in an RPG?
Yes. And we lawyers ask ourselves this when we become lawyers. Like we have these conversations. Say, could you defend a rapist? So that I could not defend a rapist, and I could not defend a child, somebody who hurts a child. Just couldn't do it. And so everything else, I could defend a murderer, a robber. I could do that. So playing somebody evil, it would be the same thing. I like the concept, and I like when actors talk about this on the Actor Studio of tapping into your darker sides. Also why I can't read Stephen King. It freaks the crap out of me. Because I do like to explore. I live a pretty good and normal and holy life, so to speak. That sounded sanctimonious. I try not to hurt people in real life. So sometimes it's fun if I'm going to be like, hey, you know what? That guard's pissing me off. I'm going to conk him over the head, but I won't kick him when he's down. So it's weird. So I don't like to play gratuitously evil people.
So when we talked about the upcoming Fantasy Flight Games Death Watch,
I can't wait.
Where you play Chaos, which some would argue is pretty darn
Which is
evil.
about as evil as you can get.
Are you looking forward to playing evil in that game?
So here's what's interesting. This will define it purposely.
Right.
I could not and don't want to play Khorne. I never played a Khorne army because to me, Khorne, like blood for the blood god, that creeps me out. I don't like gratuitous evil or gratuitous violence, but I could be Slaanesh or Nurgle or Tzeentch or Undivided.
Now it's interesting because arguably Slaanesh could rape people, and you can't defend a rapist.
Yeah, I wouldn't like that.
Right.
So,
I mean,
I probably would do.
Slaanesh is the ultimate intellectual,
and he's all into that
emotional.
And he's all into that sexual deviant stuff too, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that weirds me out too. Okay, no corn and no Slanesh.
Okay, so what's left?
And Zinch is all about your intellectual corruption and
that I can
your
handle.
brain. You're okay with that, and of course, Nurgle is all disease, and we know you're good with that.
And undivided.
All right. Undivided
is a little bit of everything, so it would have the blood god in it.
Yeah, but you're more worshiping chaos as a as a religion, as a concept, exactly.
Okay.
And when you're evil, you got to put up with stuff you don't like.
That is true. That is very true.
All right, now one more of my bugaboos before we move on to some of the things that seem to contradict my bugaboos, and all of our bugaboos. And I know Craig's never played really any MMOs, but
no, so you're about to lose me.
Well, just gonna be short. So, but here's another thing. It goes back to my RPG thing. So, in the olden days of MMOs, so in modern MMOs now, and WoW and things that have come after WoW, you really can't fight other players, right? Unless there's flags turned on and blah blah blah. But in the olden school days, okay. Back in the days of Ultima Online and the early MMOs, anything went. So you could go up to a guy, he could be walking down the street, you could kill him and steal his stuff. Or you could be walking through the woods, someone just gets mobbed by a monster, he's dead, and his body's laying with all his gear, you could take his gear.
Yeah, you could loot him.
Now, I tried that once. Okay, so literally I found this guy die, and I just picked up all of his stuff. And then he came running back. Did you see my stuff? I said no, and I just lied to him. And I took his stuff. And I felt bad I had an upset stomach for like days after that. I could not live with myself. And I'm like, it's just a game. It's just pretend. You're just pretending. You're a bad guy. You're not really a bad guy. It's like role-playing.
Yeah, but you
evil.
didn't pretend.
Yeah.
You really lied to him.
Yeah, you really took stuff that guy spent a long time accruing.
But it's a role-playing game, right? I'm role-playing evil.
Yeah, but the virtual stuff had
he
value.
spent real-life time gathering all that stuff.
That's why I felt bad. So I can't. In an MMO, and there's people that just would smash noobs and do all this crazy stuff. I can't do that, even though it's pretend. It's not real,
Well,
I couldn't do that.
I would argue, Russ, that the people that like to smash noobs also like to beat you up and take your lunch money.
That could be true.
Because
or would like to be those people if they had bigger muscles.
There you go. Thank you, Craig. That's very true, actually.
All right.
Yeah,
so
that's what you get to do in an MMO.
So that's too real. It's real because even though it's in bits and bytes,
it's
real because people have invested time and money, right, in their subscriptions to their characters, and by stealing from them, even though it's pretend stealing, you are really stealing from them too.
Right. And I would argue that I would be able. So I would not like that either. I don't play evil characters on MMO. Right. But what's interesting is, what if it was evil, but it wasn't PvP, player versus player? What if you were an evil character? I don't know. You're a corn berserker in a 40K MMO.
It's interesting. I've tried this before, being evil in the video games, the single player RPGs. I can't do that evil. Like Mass Effect, you can be bad in the original Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. You can be bad or good and be a dark Jedi. I have trouble being evil.
Now this is
I have a really hard time being evil
because they're NPCs.
They're totally NPCs.
So nobody spent time.
That's more of an interesting psychological.
It is.
Yes.
I can't. Well, what it is I can't because what happens to me is in the beginning I think it'll be fun. I can be bad. I can be the bad boy. But as it goes on, I can identify with my character less and less. If that makes sense. So as he gets more and more evil, he becomes less and less appealing to me because I just want to beat the crap out of him. Right. So then. I don't enjoy playing him anymore. So I can't really, it's weird. So it becomes I don't want to be that person anymore, and I've got to go back and restart and be a good guy.
Gotcha.
Every time I do that, I get into that trouble. Can you do that, Raef?
What's funny is in those types of scripts, unlike 40K, I also like to play the good guy.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
I have a tough time lying and cheating and stealing from NPCs. I'm not stealing. I can steal the best of them.
Well, they do a good job with when you steal. I mean, you have to do things like you'll encounter a kid who's crying on the street, and he says, "My mom left me all her money, and it's like thousands of dollars. What do I do?" And you can basically steal from him and have $1,000 to spend, or you can help him find help. And it's like they do such a great job of making the kid cry when you steal from him and just ruining his life. It's like. But I could be evil. Let's just pretend. Why not? But he's like,
I could do that.
It's
but
really hard.
In Fallout, I would bust into the warehouse and steal all the police arms. I had no problems with that.
Yeah, I guess it depends what you're stealing, right?
Yeah.
And you can always justify it in the Robin Hood sort of defense. Well, I'm robbing from the rich to give to the poor, kind of thing.
Do you really give it to the poor in the MMO though?
Depends on the game, I guess.
Uh-huh.
I guess if you're giving it back to your guild, people who need help, you could argue.
But let's talk about, so why do you think you can't be evil in an NPC format?
Well, that's why I just said I can't identify with the character anymore. So
okay. You don't want to tap into your darker side.
I don't know that I can. Like,
if you have one.
It's not. Yeah, it's not that I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't. I don't know.
There's no enjoyment.
Now, here's
a
question, Russ.
Yeah.
If you're game mastering, how are you going to NPC the bad guys? Can you do that?
Yes, but here's the thing. Remember, I told you guys when we talked about DMing how I think it's co-op.
Yeah.
See, I can play Dissent, and I can be the evil overlord, and that's fun for me. But in the end, I know that my evil creations will be defeated. If that makes sense. Like, I'm
if you lose.
Well, in Dissent, it's a lose thing, but in an RPG, right? I'm trying to make a challenge for the players, and in the end, though, I'm supposed to be defeated. Like I'm trying to see the story that's going to develop for the good guys to win. If that makes sense. So I don't know that I could not GM a game of all evil players, though. I don't think I could do that because I think I'd be facilitating evil. And that sounds like I'm some kind of like holy roller. It's not that. It's just I can't emotionally identify with it. I just don't like it. It's not any kind of religious thing. I just really physically can't identify with it.
So I've got a conflict within myself.
Yeah.
I don't like playing GTA games. I don't feel good about climbing the top of a roof and shooting people with a sniper rifle.
Yeah, right. Same thing. Like Grand Theft Auto, where you're actually a gangster. I couldn't get into the Grand Theft Auto
I couldn't
games.
be a gangster either.
See, to me, I think it takes a certain mindset to actually want to play those games, and it's not a healthy mindset. But that's just me being judgmental.
Yeah, I think I don't know that because I mean, again, Raef likes to play evil RPGs. So someone could say, well, if you're going to play an evil character, it takes a
right. But if you're playing evil RPGs, your head is editing the pictures. So you might be like, oh, I'm evil, I'm killing the people, but in my head, it's the images in my head. Whereas Grand Theft Auto games, there's the old lady you're hitting with your car, there's the woman that you're shooting with your gun. Yes. To me, it really does push the boundaries.
That's an excellent point, Craig.
Psychological health.
Right. When I'm playing an evil thief, I'm not slaying the old lady that's crossing it. I would never do that.
Yeah, see. Well, it depends. I mean, again, and it also can get surreal, right? Where, like, you can take a GTA game and just, try to play how the physics do things and drive a car off a roof and see how far the bodies fly. And it's almost like it's not really about, it's so surreal you don't really think it's real anymore, if that makes sense. Like, I think people can
that makes total sense.
The difference. But you're right. I mean, I think if people get into it and role play it too much, it's like anything else. I mean, it's
right. And I'm not saying that they're going to turn into bad people or that they're bad people. I just think that I think you're a little tweaked if you're enjoying that. But I think that about a lot of movies that I see too.
So my gosh.
I think you're a little tweaked if you like Avatar. Whatever.
You just made me realize something. My level of evil is just wimpy. Because my level of evil is the old lady that's crossing the street in GTA that you kill that I wouldn't want to kill if I was an evil thief in D&D. My level of evilness is only when she's like, sir, could you spare a copper for some bread? I'm like, no, lady, I got stuff to do. Poof, and I run off.
But you don't run her over with the cart?
No, I don't run her over. I don't kill her.
So this is a good question, though. The GTA is a good point, because I had that game I got at Gen Con last year, Roadkill Rally, right?
Yeah.
And in that game, you get bonus points for running people over. And it's like little old ladies with walkers and kids chasing balls.
But it's a cartoon.
And, right. Well, I mean, you could argue GTA is a cartoon, too. But, I mean, is that game... Is that an okay game to play? I mean, is that too real, or is it? Are they? Because I like that game, even though the theme is definitely, I mean, you could argue, Russ, you're playing a guy running over helpless old ladies and children.
But it's not set in a world that we recognize as real.
Right.
Whereas GTA, to me, is set in a world that we can recognize as realistic, if not real.
So it'd be like if there was a realistic running people over game. Board game,
whatever it would be. Again, to go back to the intimacy, a video game is more intimate than a board game.
Well, I think Craig nailed it. If GTA was somehow goofy in the cartoony kind of way, the mind for honest and good people,
right? And it's not. It's very much not goofy in a cartoony way,
right? No, it's not. Definitely not.
You could argue like Saints Row, which is almost a parody of GTA, but it's sort of that way, where they have like. Anyway, I won't go there because most of the things I can't even speak on our family program.
I'm going to take a moment now that you've talked about MMOs because I want to touch back on what Raef said about in the actors studio and actors and I'm with Russ. I don't want to role play an evil character, but my resume as an actor was almost entirely bad guys.
I can see that.
And mainly because of the eyebrows.
The eyebrow, right? You can do the eyebrow thing.
I can do the eyebrow thing. And I loved it. I loved being Macbeth. I loved there's some bad luck. I loved being Don Pedro from The Rover. I just Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein. The list goes on and on. And I enjoyed it, but I'm not. Well, actually, never mind. I would totally take a left turn into lecturing about different concepts and philosophies about acting. I am a technical actor, not a method actor. We don't have to go into
you're
that.
not a Stanislavski actor.
Yeah, that's what a method actor is.
Wow. So, well, do you think acting is role playing?
I think it's 100% role playing, and it actually there you go. If you're the kind of person who, when you're role playing, you really become it, and you get aggravated with people who are making jokes at the game table, and you're talking in character the whole time, and that means you're basically a method role player, right? Where you're really into it, and you're feeling the emotions, and if you die, you're really having a gut reaction. Or if you go in there and you know your stats, and you're having a good time, and you're joking with your friends, and you talk in character, maybe when it's a dramatic moment, then you would be a technical role player.
And you're a technical actor, right?
I'm 100%. Well, you can't ever. I don't think you can be 100% one or the other, but I'm primarily a technical actor.
Yeah,
which is I project physically the reality that I'm trying to project. I smile by smiling, not by thinking of something that makes me happy.
That makes you happy, right? That's very interesting.
I don't experience the emotional reality or the emotional experience of my character. I project that emotional experience rather than experience it.
That I think you've tapped into something there for role playing and whatnot. Yes.
And I think so I think if Raef is more of a technical role player, meaning he just enjoys the technical elements of it, and like how many people can I corrupt with my phlegm? Then that's him playing.
That might be it.
More of a technical game, whereas if you're more of an emotional, you like your character, you get into your character, then you definitely don't want to be. So maybe I'm more of a method role player and a technical actor.
So Russ would probably be a method Flames of War player.
Possibly.
Well, I think he definitely gets more emotional than you would.
And
more emotionally connected. So yeah.
And you did say, Rafe, too, that you think of role playing games as ROLL, which would be more technical than ROLE.
That's right.
So maybe that
it comes down to technical versus method role playing.
And when I studied, I had a minor in theater, and Craig, I fell in the technical acting school, not the method.
There you go.
I thought those guys were bozos.
They're sad. They're really sad.
I mean, I can see the value in how they do it, but
I totally can. And we all get to the same place eventually if you're any good, but
Russ,
there's a much more tortured road.
Exactly. So Russ, in a nutshell, this is a gross overgeneralization, but the theory is that like if I'm playing an Auschwitz survivor, I have to go outside and kind of freeze for I don't know.
Right. That's the Dustin
how
Hoffman
long,
approach.
Craig? A week to learn what it's like.
Who knows? I would argue that you can't go out and freeze enough.
Exactly.
Right. I got in a fight with a woman once who lived on a New York City bench for one night, so she could understand the plight of the homeless. I said, "Do you still have a dorm?" Right. What? You had a dorm? Well, yeah. Then you don't know what it's like to be homeless.
Right.
But I do. I was on that bench. Yeah, you were on that bench, knowing full well that if a cop came and kicked you off, you could go back to your dorm room.
That's not homeless. Right. It's called camping.
That's right. You know nothing about being homeless. You know how uncomfortable it can be on a bench. That's all you know.
We've danced around the actual question, though. So the question was, okay, so we've explained all of our bugaboos, right?
Yeah.
So how come, we can not, you and I have trouble with Flames of War and role-playing and all that stuff, but how come we can play Merchants and Marauders? And I'm like role-playing being a pirate, but pirates are freaking evil. Okay?
I know why.
They raped people, they murdered people, they stole stuff.
No, they don't.
They were not nice people.
I hate to defend pirates, but pirates
well, be careful. I think
they were not as uniformly evil as say Nazis.
Well, perhaps not. They were definitely criminals. Right?
Yes, they were criminals.
They definitely did. There was definitely raping and pillaging occurring.
There was raping and pillaging going on.
And Raef's on record already as not being able to defend a rapist. So they're definitely one of the higher people Raef doesn't like. So let me ask you this. But I think...
Notice I like ninjas.
Yes, but ninjas are assassins, dude. They're pretty bad,
they're just assassins, right? But they always kill just bad people.
So I think, for me, okay, in my head, I think if something's been...
the answer.
When something's been romanticized enough for me,
Exactly.
I think it becomes fantasy. So
Walt Disney.
Exactly. I'm not playing Blackbeard the historical pirate.
Nope.
I'm playing Captain Jack Sparrow or Captain Hook, the two crazy over-the-top bad guys, but they're so crazily bad guys, they're not really bad. You know what I mean? Like, it's like...
they're like the pirates in Hook, in Peter Pan.
Like, I don't actually think, if there was like, if Merchants and Marauders had an actual raping activity, I don't think I could enjoy the game. Because it doesn't... It's much broader than that. There's no actual pirate raping. Seriously, though.
Suddenly I'm like, okay, go to port. Let me sell my rum.
Oh, no,
I'm take your rape action, please.
Seriously.
Now, Russ, but if that's your out for that, then how come you can't just pretend you're Colonel Clink?
Well, that's a good point.
Play Flames of War.
I could play probably Hogan's Heroes. I probably could play that. But Hogan's Heroes is pretend.
I will be Sergeant Schultz. Right. You can be Colonel Clink, and both of us can play
I could probably play Hogan's Heroes, the role-playing game. I'd probably be okay with that. But that's pretend.
Well, he nailed it. Through time and history, pirates have become Jack Sparrow, but yet we're not going to Jack Sparrowize Nazis because of the atrocities they did.
Although, like I said, Colonel Clink.
Yeah, but that's too small.
But it hasn't been done as much as Pirates, clearly.
Exactly.
That's true.
Right. So I think that's why, for me, a game like Pirates, and I like Pirates. I mean, Pirates are one of my favorite things. But it's totally a fantasy pirate thing. I like Age of Sail stuff. Pirates are just romanticized cool. I'm sure that if I went back in time, I would think the life of a pirate was despicable. If I really knew what pirates did.
And
I don't know what pirates
really probably
did.
Smelled.
Right. I'm sure they smelled. They probably shot each other at the drop of a hat. I mean, there was some kind of code, but it was more of a guideline.
Well, most ships were democracies. So there's an awful lot about pirates that people don't know.
Well, but a pure democracy is not a good thing. Think about it that way. So anyway, that's
especially when your vote takes the form of a gun.
Right, the guy with the biggest gun and the biggest sword. So that's my kind of thought about that.
So we answered that.
Are there any other things like that for you guys where you could, if you thought about for things like that where someone said, "Hey, why can you play something evil?" Craig, what's something dark you play that doesn't make sense because you don't like playing evil?
Dark Eldar.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, there you go.
I mean, there's models of women being enslaved on there and things. How do you deal with that?
That's an excellent question.
That is an excellent question.
I think that again, you know what? I'm gonna say as a blanket comment about everything we're talking about tonight is it's all about that intimacy level.
Right.
And I think that the pirates again have the distance of intimacy, the intimacy distance is built upon through history, both that and then layers and layers and layers of fiction, as you said.
Right.
And if you look at the Dark Eldar, they're dark, they're very dark, they're evil. You could argue that they're one of the two most evil things in all of GW canon. But to me, you've got the intimacy of it's not real, and it never was real, and they didn't exist, and they don't exist, and they probably will never exist if we're lucky. And you've got the added distance of it being a miniature game, so it's not as real as a role-playing game or something you're seeing on a screen. And to me, it came down to the aesthetics. I loved the way they looked, and the modeling opportunities were awesome. And so I reveled in their evil on the table. So all of my models had, body parts and trophies from other soldiers. I didn't have any slave girls. I didn't have any, raping and pillaging or like children slave. That part of the fluff I never embraced on the tabletop. I mean, I read the books and I enjoyed the books, but I didn't identify with my army was not that.
I know another reason too.
Which
fits why I can play Nurgle. Craig, you've always had a slight disfavor for the Eldar.
That's true.
So by playing the Dark Eldar, you can be like...
Actually, that's why I first started playing the Dark Eldar. You're 100% correct.
You can be like, I'll show you foppus, fancy pants Eldar, what's what.
That's right.
I'm going to stick you with the point of my raider. You weren't like relishing in slave girls. It was more being able to take down the all high and mighty Eldar.
I think
that's true.
Which is kind of what do we call that? Justifiable evil, or that's the Robin Hood evil?
No, I think
you give to the poor, right?
I mean, I played the Tomb Kings and the Tyranids.
But the Tomb Kings aren't evil. And I would argue that neither of those are evil.
That's true. You could argue they're not
The
truly
Tyranids are as evil as a shark.
They're feral.
Right.
And the Tomb Kings are actually very noble, and they have a very, very, very legitimate gripe.
And,
So
and
Russ
I play the
apparently
orcs. And I play the
is
orcs too.
only able to go as far as feral.
I couldn't. Well, I'd never played Chaos. I don't think I could. I never played Dark Eldar for these. So you're right. I think I never really thought of me. You kind of think of Tomb Kings as evil because they're undead. But you're right. I mean, I guess.
Yeah, but if you go into the fluff, they're all noble warriors that died thinking they were going to be resurrected into a new afterlife, and they were betrayed by their high priest, and they were reborn as undead.
Yeah, and my favorite army
and
of all time.
In the fluff, they're trying to defend their nation. They're never in the actual stories. They're never, going other places and taking things away from people. They're always defending their own territory.
So given that I've never really played a truly evil army then under all those stipulations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you played lizard men.
Yeah, they were good guys pretty much.
They're good guys in their own
filled
chocolates.
with chocolately goodness.
Yeah,
You're
but how come?
basically
Okay,
Decadence.
so riddle me this: how come I enjoy Chaos in the old world?
Oh, that's the intimacy level goes one step further away because it's a board game.
So you think I like the theme, but it's because I'm trying to figure it out. I think it's
I think you like the mechanics
yeah.
of Chaos in the Old World. I think you like the fluff.
Well, I'm also fighting other Chaos guys, so I'm not really.
Well, what's interesting is he can become a technician in the board game. The board game becomes chess, but
Maybe
the
you're
miniature game is not chess.
Right.
Yeah, maybe. I think it might be story, but it might be too in that game. I'm mostly fighting. I'm using my forms of evil against other forms of evil.
That's a good point too.
Well,
Right.
but
The human part's
the
very
game
abstract.
itself includes a whole element of corrupting innocence and corrupting
it's
the
very
civilians,
abstract.
but that's all
It's
abstracted.
very abstracted, yeah. That could be it. And in Descent, we already talked about. I play the Overlord a lot, but I think I'm more of a story builder there than a.
I have a question for you on Descent, but I want to go back to 40K.
Okay,
Craig,
go ahead.
how were you able to play your Khorne bike army?
To me, there's no moral issue there because you're already playing a war game, so everybody's trying to kill each other anyway. And if my guys revel in it a little more than your guys, to me, that's all part and parcel of it.
But what was the cinema?
The cinema in my head was that they were great warriors who, chopped people up as they were fighting them, not after the fact when they were captured like a Slanesh person would.
But how come you couldn't role play that?
I didn't I role played the martial pride of it.
I think he means in the new RPG coming.
Oh,
out.
in the RPG, I wouldn't want to do that because, well, let's face it, even in Death Watch, where it's your big, giant, super powerful Space Marines, it's still not an army-based game.
Mm-hmm.
It's more intimate.
It's interesting.
Because you're one-on-one, you're fighting individuals, or you're fighting at most a small group.
Mm-hmm.
And so, to me, I don't want to be the Khorne guy that's killing 3 guys.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's
So, Rafe, what was your question before Dunks kicks us out here? What was your question for me about Descent?
Russ, would the answer be that you're not really playing evil in Descent? And I'm asking you, is it because if at the end of the game and you did your best, you played by the rules and you fought the monsters as hard as you could, but yet the heroes won, you would not be sad and disappointed? Am I correct in that?
I don't think I'd be disappointed if the heroes won, but I'm trying to make me win. Which
Right.
Technically, in Descent, that is evil winning.
Right. So I guess I think the answer is you're not really playing evil there. You're playing a tactical game and looking to have a really fun and good time. And you would have as equal a good time if you played your best, but the heroes bested you.
Okay. Interesting. Well, maybe that could be it. I think it goes back to the RPG thing where I feel like even though I'm the evil overlord and I'm the bad guy, I feel like I'm kind of facilitating a story. So maybe that's why. And also, I think Craig might be right again with his intimacy theory, which is that,
Yes.
as the evil overlord, you are an avatar, but you don't really have that until the very, very last mission. Most of the time, you're just running all these monsters, and you don't really feel connected to those monsters.
No,
as
it's
much as you are.
abstracted.
Yeah, as much as you're trying to making a challenging puzzle for your opponents. So again, it goes back to maybe it is. It's a board game. I've gotten in technical mode, and I'm not as really as locked in. But for some reason, miniature games, in particular, tie in with RPGs for me, and I get mentally connected to what's happening there for some reason.
I have to
think
tell you
that's
one thing that's worth the price of admission just for this.
All right.
Did you hear about the Descent game with Ian and Dave and everybody?
No, what happened?
Okay.
Spill the beans. So,
I played in it, so I'm dying to hear
here you
what
go. You
what
get your
Rafe's
99
gonna say.
cents. Some juicy gossip. Here we go.
Okay. No, it's not. It's not gossipy, but it kind of is. You're going to feel really good. I heard Craig. I guess Craig can verify this. That Dave said, "Okay, I take 4 threat because you love me," and Ian got really pissed and said, "Dave, you can't say that." And he was being serious, according to Dave.
What?
You can't say that. Only Russ can say that.
What?
Did that happen, Craig?
He was joking.
Yeah, it happened, but I don't know how serious.
I'm sure it was a
Oh,
joke.
okay. Dave interpreted it like he was not really joking.
I'm sure it was a joke.
So
Fine.
apparently-
I think Ian's position was come up with your own thing, not so much.
Oh, I
but,
see.
but who knows? I don't know.
He could be
I
critical on
wasn't paying
originality.
too much attention. I was exhausted.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he
Dave-
said, "You're not Russ."
Dave did Facebook that he Facebooked while he was playing Descent. He said, "I'm playing a game with friends and they don't seem to be enjoying themselves." And then right afterwards, Matt said, "I'm enjoying myself." So I'm not really sure
See-
how much enjoying it if they're all on Facebook commenting.
I got to tell you how annoying this whole social media thing is. I'm Facebooking and tweeting while I'm playing. Blah blah blah.
I don't know why they're doing
annoying.
that. I don't do that. I just take pictures. Come on now.
No,
Russ,
pictures
I have
is
to-
thing.
this-
It's
yeah.
still pictures is right on the edge. I think it's okay, especially if you have a podcast. You're trying to keep everybody focused. But
How you going to get those great photos for your blog?
Dave and Matt having a conversation on Facebook while we're playing is a little bit beyond the
Yeah, that's
pale.
weird.
I don't know. I guess they were that
Russ,
engaged.
I have to share one more thing that's worth the price of admission too. I did another Russism today. Well, I didn't do that Russism. Remember the time you were kicking Dave's butt in a game and Dave said something like, "This is horrible." You said, "I'm having a great time."
Yes, I do remember that.
Well, somebody at work needed to be taken down a few pegs, and so I finally did. And then the gossip got around work, and they're like, "Rafe, are you okay? I heard that you and so kind of got into it." I'm like, "I'm having a great day."
See, that's not nice. Don't do that. Don't be a me. That's not nice.
Don't be a meanie. Mean people suck.
Right? Mean people suck. All right. Well,
Well, I can just tap into my dark side.
I think the big boy behind the counter is giving us
trying
the
to clear
high
this up.
sign.
So
yeah.
everyone, I hope you got your
We'll
free
give you a little-
donut. And yeah, on Free Donut Day, I know it's gone now, but I hope you got one. And email us and let us know what your favorite donut is. Send the emails to Hollywood@d6generation.com.
Yeah,
and let
tell
us
me.
know
I wanna
what
know.
your favorite donut is. Peace out. And don't be evil. Don't be evil.
Thanks for purchasing a D6G Lost chapter. Supporting the show helps it grow.
Put the mic to your
Everyone
face. Put the
considered
mic to your
him
face.
the coward of the county.
Boom.
He never stood one single time to prove the county wrong.
Boom, boom, boom.
His mama named him Tommy, but folks just called him Yellow. But something always told me they were reading Tommy wrong.